Only mode.
Hi, welcome everyone to Unlock the Value in the Internet of Things. I'd like to thank you all for attending, and I'd like to thank PTC for sponsoring this webinar. I'm Sarah Frame, and I manage the IoT community at MassTLC. Before I turn it over to our speaker today, Scott McCarley, I want to just go over a few housekeeping items with you. The first, all attendees have been placed on mute. You will remain so for the duration of the event. Attendees will have the opportunity to ask questions by typing them into the question section on the upper right side of your screen. You can enter your question at any time throughout the webinar. Scott will be presenting for about 35 minutes today. After the presentation, Scott will answer the questions that you have typed in throughout the webinar. We will try to get to as many of those questions as we can. Any that we don't get to on the webinar will be answered and sent to the audience member asking through email. If you experience any technical difficulties at any time throughout the webinar, please notify us by submitting your issue in the question module. We'll do our best to respond to your inquiry immediately. A recording of the webinar will be available on the MassTLC website. Following the webinar, we'll be sending out a very brief survey, which includes an opportunity for you to provide us with some feedback and also to suggest future topics. We really count on all of you to let us know what you're most interested in learning and sharing. I think that about covers everything, so without further ado, I'm happy to turn this over to our featured speaker today, Scott McCarley, Senior Director of Solution Management at ThingWorx, a PTC company. Scott?
All right, well, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. So the Internet of Things is transforming product capabilities, customer relationships, and how value is being captured across businesses, governments, and consumers. According to McKinsey, by 2025, the Internet of Things will generate as much as $6.2 trillion in annual global economic value. It's a great time to be leveraging and innovating with the Internet of Things, and this is our chance to take part in the greatest economic value-add opportunity of our lifetime. Companies who are able to identify opportunities and quickly bring to market solutions will be the leaders for decades to come. Let me just introduce PTC. PTC is a $1.3 billion business. We've been in business for over 25 years and have over 28,000 active customers. We provide next-generation technology platforms and enterprise applications to transform how customers create, connect, analyze, operate, service, smart connected products, operations, and systems. We do this with a set of technology platforms and enterprise applications. On the left-hand side of this slide here, you see our technology platforms, and these are very broad platforms that can be used for many different purposes. They're leverageable across just about every vertical and make up our IoT suite for running and developing Internet of Things applications. This is where we're going to focus today. On the right-hand side of the screen, I just want to mention that these are PTC's enterprise applications. They're also leveraging our technology platforms to reinvent how they do things like CAD, PLM, ALM, SLM for the manufacturing industry. So by leveraging our technology platforms in these enterprise applications, they're bringing forth new features that can take advantage of the ability to collect real-time information from a product, control it, and analyze data. So this is just a short introduction to the ThingWorx business within PTC. So we've experienced tremendous financial growth inside of ThingWorx. This includes the Exida acquisition, as well as ThingWorx, which was acquired by PTC dating back to 2013. Today, our IoT business in ThingWorx also includes ColdLight, the ColdLight acquisition, which we'll discuss a little bit later. I just want to point out that we have global IoT coverage and over 500 employees dedicated to IoT inside of ThingWorx, with 200 of them, over 200 of them inside of R&D. All of PTC employees, the entire 6,000, are committed to our success as well. ThingWorx has the most proven and comprehensive IoT platform on the market. We have hundreds and hundreds of market-leading customers with millions of active connected devices and products. And as I mentioned, the most comprehensive end-to-end platform. So what's enabling this 6.2 trillion in future economic value, or by 2025? What's behind that? Well, it's that things are changing. It's not the internet that's changing. It's the things within the Internet of Things. So to take an example here, if we look at a tractor as a thing, we can look at this evolution that a tractor has experienced over the past 10 years. And it's pretty interesting. It's undergone a significant evolution. It started as a mechanical device, just as a product. Then software was introduced, perhaps to control the engine, or to add an engine controller, or a digital display within the tractor. So that made it a smart product with software. Then someone came along and thought, well, if we could connect that tractor to the internet, well, we could remotely control it, or connect it over a network. We could remotely control it, monitor it, service it remotely to provide a real additional value. And that's a smart connected product. So that's not where things have stopped. So beyond that, today, we see that there's an evolution to make it part of a smart connected product, or a connected device, part of a larger product system, or part of a larger system. So in this example, a harvester, for example, could submit to a database or some sort of cloud repository information about how much grain was harvested in a section of land. And then when the tiller came along at the next year, or at the next time period that they were fertilizing the land, it could access that information and determine what was the appropriate amount of fertilizer based on how much crop was harvested there. It could then also communicate how much information, or back to the system to say how much fertilizer was planted or put in the ground and the precise location of it, so that the planter, is pulled by the tractor, could put the seed in the appropriate spot. So that's an example of a system. And systems are evolving beyond just the sort of one manufacturer or one piece of equipment or sensor perspective to become part of a larger system, so that it's more than just information based on a single product set or a single product type, but getting beyond that, is shown here with irrigation systems, weather data, seed optimization systems. So evolution has really taken this quite far. At PTC now and ThingWorx, we see this change creating opportunities for businesses everywhere. So today at ThingWorx, we help customers leverage IoT for smart connected products. That means the makers of manufactured products leveraging IoT to help them connect their product and enable new features such as remote service, or new customer-facing product capabilities, or perhaps monetizing their products with new business models. We enable smart connected operations, where operators of factories, plants, supply chains use IoT to connect the assets they own, not the ones they make, but the assets they own, with their internal operations and business systems to gain unified visibility across all of their operations, to reduce waste and to reach operational excellence. And finally, we enable smart connected systems. And this is where we're working with solution providers. And these could be independent software companies, startups, system integrators, businesses who are leveraging their industry expertise and business process understanding, plus an IoT platform, to bring to market a new IoT application to manage the assets, the diverse assets, and improve the operations of their customers in areas such as smart cities, smart agriculture, smart buildings, and smart energy. Taking a step back, when we're looking at that $6.2 trillion in annual economic value that's going to be created by 2025, there's another factor, that's enabling that, or providing the change to achieve that type of new economic value, and that's the explosion in the number of connected devices. And so shown here are the predictions from companies like Cisco, Ericsson, GE, so that by 2020, they say 50 billion devices are connected, and by 2035, over 1 trillion sensors, devices, and machines will be connected to the Internet of Things. By connecting them alone, that's not really providing any business value to achieve that 6.2 trillion. What you need are connected applications to unlock the value. And that's really what the founders of ThingWorx saw, that the applications, the connected Internet of Things applications, are really what's going to drive and provide that new value. Now, these are brand new applications. These aren't off-the-shelf applications. These will be new applications that need to be created for the devices and for the particular new use cases that they're executing on. So based on the founders and others' input, the estimations are 5 million apps by 2020 and over 500 million apps by 2035. So these numbers are causing us to reconsider how we go about developing IoT apps. So to date, perhaps why the Internet of Things has been got a little bit of a slow start in terms of how people are capturing that value, it's because the traditional development method required everyone to work most of the majority of their time on developing the infrastructure behind the Internet of Things applications, leaving very little time, just about 20%, this is a rough estimate obviously, of their time to focus on the application. And that's the part that generates the business value in IoT. So to dive into this just a teeny bit deeper, we see that conventional application development isn't well suited for the Internet of Things. So first you need to identify someone in your company who has expertise in connectivity, who's going to transfer that information across a network and into a cloud environment where someone's going to need to have cloud communications expertise to collect, process, and manage that information. Then you're going to need to architect and build a complex application where you're integrating perhaps third-party systems, coding the business logic and events and alerts that will need to occur with your application, writing user permissions, and then ultimately designing and building an interface to deliver a fixed application. Let's say in this instance, an application for a customer support representative of a smart connected product. So it's a tremendous effort just to build this one application, leveraging expertise that businesses may not have in-house. So it's a significant amount of effort. And as soon as you deliver that application, you know there's going to be a change request to it. But by the time you get to addressing or even beginning those change requests, another department within your organization or perhaps your customer base has requested an additional application. Let's say this one is a field service technician. Right? So they've come back and said, now we want an application too. Well, based upon the way you wrote the first application, it's not really leverageable, your work, or it's minimally leverageable. So you end up rewriting the application for this new use case, not leveraging your original work, plus managing now the changes that occur with two applications that are being built with essentially a very different architecture. And on it goes. So another person in the organization then requests, or another customer requests applications. So at worst, perhaps you're trying to build an IoT platform on a project budget, and at best, you're delivering rigid, fixed applications to meet the individual needs. And all of this is really difficult to manage the change. It's complex. It's very high cost. And notably, there's a lot of risk with this. You're introducing really potentially very unproven or insecure applications with real scalability issues. At the end, this is a huge barrier to innovation with a tremendous opportunity that you're trying to execute on. So this is the role that an IoT platform plays, right? It's going to simplify this solution delivery. It's going to deliver you one singular architecture that can be used across all of your applications. It's going to maximize code reuse, and it's going to enable you to deliver your applications as quickly as possible to market. So an IoT platform provides connectivity, software to securely connect your devices and communicate that information, machine and sensor data, into a cloud. It's going to provide a device and data management layer to collect and process that information, and to provide basic capabilities to remotely monitor, manage, service, and control your connected device. And then it's going to deliver, and very importantly, a rapid application development environment so that you can build those innovative new applications that are really going to unlock the value and enable you to be a leader inside with your connected application. So taking a step back, talking about, we've talked about the role of an IoT platform and the value that it can deliver, but we started out at the beginning of this webcast talking about moving from IoT to ROI. So from a business perspective, why are people leveraging IoT? At the highest level, we see IoT is creating 4 value opportunities. It's going to improve your customer experience, so enabling them to leverage data from connected devices to receive improved service, or for you to provide improved service, improved support, and enable them to have more usable experience. It's going to enable you to optimize your operational performance, or enable you to optimize the operational performance of your customers. So providing that real-time data with the existing business systems that are in use. It's going to enable you to differentiate your offering in the market by leveraging IoT, and it's going to open up brand new revenue streams that you're perhaps not exploring today. And shown here is the ability to unlock a new business model, perhaps pay-per-use. So if we were to look at the maturity model of how businesses tend to deliver value with the Internet of Things over time, this is really an example case. We're not capturing certainly all use cases, but based on 10 years of experience working with Internet of Things customers, over time, this is a very sort of maturity model perspective, where businesses traditionally have started with service as a sort of low-hanging fruit, the killer app. And this is really for businesses who have products that they are servicing in the market today. But it could apply to a smart city as well, who needs to service their equipment in the field. It could apply to many situations. So obviously within service, you're going to be able to proactively monitor your equipment, deliver software updates remotely, be able to see what's going on, remote access to an equipment, perhaps change the configuration. Once businesses have enabled their service scenario, they then look to, how can we further exploit that information? And analytics becomes a high possibility. So they've developed a wealth of information, and they can begin to, using big data analytics, run scenarios such as predictive maintenance to better understand, instead of reacting to when and trying to improve their reaction time to when equipment fails, to in fact getting to a situation where they can predict which specific piece of equipment will fail next and create a proactive service scenario around it to prevent it. They can identify potential manufacturing process issues, identifying where the slowdowns are or bottlenecks occurring, and they can report on the actual usage of the product in the field and the status, the well-being, or which feature sets are being used by customers in which markets. Once they have that sort of analytics information, they can integrate that back into their existing business systems to really spread that information out throughout their organization. So if you were a product development organization or an OEM manufacturer, you might put it in your PLM system to enable your next generation's designs to include that feedback and understanding about which features are being used, and if perhaps a cost was appropriate or not appropriate given the amount of feature use. You could take that real-time analytics information about the usage scenario and see if it met your warranty management. So basically, if someone was using the product outside of violating their warranty conditions, you could connect it to your knowledge management systems to improve your service delivery, feed in quality information back to your quality systems. And then eventually, and many businesses start here, frankly, today, but sort of from a maturity perspective, innovate being the final step. And this is really where you're trying to differentiate your product in the market. You're moving away from operational excellence, doing what you do today better, to something where you're really innovating. You're driving new capabilities in the market, and you're changing actually how your revenue is being your revenue model. So whether this could be complementary web apps and mobile apps to differentiate your products and giving your users a better experience, enabling them to self-service their products more easily, or perhaps doing that new business model. And I think pay-per-use is a fantastic example, but you can think of many others as well. So we'll talk about some in a moment when we go through some customer examples. So how do these things translate into value? Well, again, this is a perspective on those use cases and really trying to uncover how could you calculate your ROI. So if you were enabling remote service, our customers today, they can measure the decrease in the field visits so the number of deployments, how many times they deploy a field technician. There's a real cost associated with that. And we'll talk about a customer example in just a couple moments. You can increase your first-time fix rate. So when that service technician is required to visit the equipment, we want to make sure that they can service it. And again, just reducing the cost of software updates. And these things have actual revenue benefits as well. As when you reduce downtime, you're increasing customer satisfaction, and that will come back to you in terms of market share. The analytics side, or analyze, well, that's really, there's an enormous cost benefit if you no longer deploy technicians to service equipment based on a calendar. If it didn't need to be serviced, or perhaps if you're in a facilities management, if you didn't need to address some aspect of facilities, and you can prevent, or stop that deployment, there's a real cost savings with that. So again, the predictive analytics being about detecting, and going from calendar-based or to a fact-based, based on the information coming off the equipment. You could, reduce the supplier issues or manufacturing process issues as a cost benefit. And the revenue side, increasing uptime. Many of our customers, many businesses out there are charging based on usage, and you only get paid when your equipment is working in that scenario. So really, increased uptime is not only a competitive differentiator, but it's actually enabling revenue as well. So increased market share, via better market analysis, understanding which markets use what features, or perhaps in many scenarios, the particular issues that go on within individual markets, understanding those differentiators, or the differentiated nature of your different markets will enable you to serve them better. From an integration side, again, we talked about warranty claims, being able to recognize those. This is really all about just taking that valuable information you've collected and making sure that all parts of the organization receive it. So reducing support time, creating new superior designs in the future, and enabling upsell and cross-selling opportunities. If you're unaware how your device is being used in a customer environment, or you're receiving new information about your customer environment, you can better serve them. And if you're selling something, you'll create cross-sell opportunities for potentially other products, or understand when they may need more of what it is you sell. And on the innovation side, where increasing the enabling them to self-support is going to save you costs. Your productivity is going to go up with all this new information that your employees have about the products in the field. You're going to increase your market share with new competitive differentiated features. You're going to be able to charge a price premium. You're going to expand with pay-per-usage offerings. So the idea there being that if you can charge, instead of requiring a customer to pay outright for your piece of equipment, particularly if it's expensive, by moving to a pay-per-usage model, you're enabling a market segment that maybe previously couldn't afford your product to now be able to pay for it. And perhaps you're creating brand new revenue streams with a new portfolio of IoT offerings. So I thought now maybe we just go through some customer examples, take a look at across a variety of use cases and different verticals. And then we'll open it up for questions in just a few minutes. So I think everyone on the phone is probably familiar with Diebold. They're a $3 billion provider of ATMs. So Diebold is an excellent example of a customer who has done great things with the ability to remotely service their equipment. So by deploying our IoT technology, they've been able to reduce the time it takes them to address problems in their equipment from 3 hours to minutes. So that's an enormous change. And as a result of deploying the technology, they're also able to remotely resolve 17% of the total issues that previously required a field service visit. So they're reducing their field service deployments by 17%, which is tremendous cost savings. And ultimately, they're reducing the downtime of their equipment by 15%. So there's real tangible cost savings for them, as well as really market differentiating best in breed best-of-breed equipment as a result of it. Sysmex, this is another great example. Sysmex is a global leader in the development of blood and urine analysis equipment. So that, like many medical device companies, they generate a significant amount of their revenue from their service offerings. In fact, you just mentioned it before I forget it. 9 of the top 10 medical device manufacturers use the ThingWorx platform today. So ThingWorx at Sysmex is really distinguished because they're really using it and touching nearly every aspect of their business with the information, the real-time information from the product flowing through ThingWorx and transforming the way their business works. So not only is the ThingWorx platform enabling Sysmex to expand their service offerings while significantly lowering their costs, their service costs, but it's also enabling them to automatically replenish their consumables used at the equipment. So they've automated that process. They're also tracking the contract adherence, ensuring that within the hospital environments that they're meeting the contracts and having them in the right warranty situations. And they're now being able to sell, as we described, new usage-based billing, right? So they're opening up new markets by selling based on a usage base or offering that as a model that customers can subscribe to. So All Traffic is a great example of a company that has leveraged IoT to develop that new revenue stream and really transform their business. So All Traffic Solutions started as a manufacturer of traffic equipment and where they delivered signs. As shown here is your speed signs, but the signs that display text as well. So once they were able to connect these signs, and initially they're offering features such as, where is the sign to the municipalities and local government agencies and police departments they're working with who own their equipment. So first providing them the ability to understand where their equipment is in the field, potential service needs of that equipment if the battery was low or if it had been damaged. But they then went beyond that to be able to capture information about traffic patterns like road congestion. And they're able to combine that information, offer that to their customer base, so they're the municipalities and police departments that they're working with, or perhaps universities, businesses using it as well. They're able to offer this information through these, their iCloud offering, so that their customers can now understand, well, what is the traffic situation going on at these signs, and could I route them? Could I provide feedback to the drivers, informing them of how long it'll be to reach their destination, or perhaps can I route them through a better driving route to reduce traffic? And that's in fact what they've done. So they were relieving congestion. This is a significant smart city initiative. This application meets it, and All Traffic Solutions has really transformed themselves into a software as a service company, where the Traffic Cloud, which is actually the name of the applications, the IoT applications they provide, has now become the largest revenue source, the product that they offer inside the company. So they continue to deliver new IoT applications based on the information they're collecting from their equipment and other sources, and offering that as new applications to their customers, who are now making that the largest revenue source in the organization at All Traffic. So Pactera is an example of a consulting technology service provider, so a system integrator, who might be another term. They have 23,000 employees. It's a large, proven global company with high quality and standards and a quick, efficient delivery process. But they have a large, dedicated team focused on smart cities, and they saw ThingWorx as not only a mechanism for them to deliver services, but also to create prepackaged solutions. So that was a strategic objective of their organizations that they can use for repeatable sale, and to start to distinguish them from other system integrators they're working with or competing against. OnFarm is another example, and this is a solution provider that has leveraged the ThingWorx platform to create a brand new SaaS offering that they sell to farms to drive farm profitability. It's a very nice example of a smart connected system. So, they used ThingWorx to reduce the time it took them to bring to market this new solution and to capitalize on the opportunity as quickly as possible. Their solution integrates information across multiple unrelated systems coming from multiple unrelated companies. So they combine sensor information about soil moisture, system information about weather patterns or fertilizer usage from the equipment, growing conditions from sensors, GIS information, so all sorts of information across everything that's on the farm, and they present it back to the farmer in a web-based dashboard that's specific for growers, so it's easy to understand, and it's ultimately about lowering the cost, increasing crop yields, and enabling farmers to spot potential crop issues before they cause problems or disrupt a crop. And the final example here is Airbus, and so they're using ThingWorx to fuel their factory of the future. So here they're using the ThingWorx technology, or an IoT platform, on the shop floor, or the manufacturing assembly floor, I should say in this case. So they're connecting their workers and the tools the workers use during the assembly process. They're connecting both the tools and the workers to the IoT platform with the ultimate goal of improving and increasing the speed of the assembly of their airplanes. So they've streamlined tens of thousands of steps in the assembly process. These steps can have as many, in total, as 400,000 bolts that they need to screw, and in its assembly they might have over 1,000 different tools. So again, a small mistake could cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and the IoT system, ThingWorx here, is able to capture and ensure that each step is done correctly to better control the manufacturing process and ensure quality and higher productivity. So I hope that was a good perspective about how IoT can be leveraged to not only drive enable you to participate in the greatest economic value opportunity of a lifetime. I mean, it really is an exciting time, and the ThingWorx platform is really broad and horizontal. We have that market-leading position in the market with a first purpose-built platform. If you have any questions, we're going to take them in just a moment, but I encourage you to go to our ThingWorx.com website, continue to read about it. Sarah, I guess we can now open up for questions. And before I forget, Sarah, also thank you for enabling me to give that webcast. Sarah, can we maybe open it up for any questions if there are any?
Sorry. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Sorry about that. Thank you very much, Scott. That was great. We do have a couple of questions, and they're in a couple of different parts. So the first question is closed garden platform with a question mark, and then how do you control non-partner certified devices?
Could you restate that? I apologize, Sarah.
Sure. So the first question, the first part was closed garden platform. So I think that's referring to, could you elaborate on the closed garden platform? And then how do you control non-partner certified devices? Yeah,
and maybe I'll address the second part, and I think it'll address the first part as well. So non-certified devices, there's multiple ways to connect devices into the IoT platform. In fact, you could use even third-party cloud, device clouds. So, there's multiple methods. If you're already collecting information, let me state, about devices in the field, that's fantastic, and we would just look to enable rapid application development based on the information you've already collected. If you have not connected your devices into a device cloud or to an IoT platform, there are really multiple ways. So perhaps the device already provides a REST API, and we communicate with it directly. It might communicate via standards protocols that we support, like MQTT. We could deploy SDKs or agents onto the device. So there's multiple methods, and we're hopefully have the are able to connect really to any device out there. The pre-tested partner ones, they've been validated, but there are numerous devices that are in use by customers that it's just the hardware partner hasn't validated it yet. So hopefully that answers the question, Sarah.
Okay, and then this next question is also in a couple of different parts. So I'll read it all, and I can repeat it if need be. In what ways are you using connected applications to structure sensor data from various sources to reach your platform? Are you able to use structured and unstructured data to analyze and provide values to users?
Yeah, it's a good question. So yes, so there's from the sensors, we're typically receiving time series, data. So it's just a time series stream. But there are other types of unstructured data sets that go in. We often work with unstructured data from people. So whether that's receiving blogs or enabling the storage of commentary from a service technician or someone on the manufacturing shop floor, or perhaps a city employee. So they're being combined together inside of the platform where we can reach across all three of the data sources to find value. The Cold Light Neuron Analytics has a particular, I think, excellence with big data. It tends to be a little bit more time series. But the process of mapping the data into an analytics solution it is intended to be done by non-data scientists. So it is enabling you to find a lot of value in your data, whether it's structured or unstructured.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Scott. That was actually. Oh, I'm sorry. There's one more question that came in. I'm sorry. Is there any implementation of ThingWorx platform in South America? And if yes, can you comment on that?
I'm not and I'm certainly not an expert on our sort of South American operation, so I don't offhand know, but I promise that we will follow up with the person. I know we have partners covering the area, and I know we have manufacturers who all have operations in South America, but I think that's a question that I will do best to follow up on email to make sure that we answer it exactly correctly.
Okay, and we can get you all that information, Scott. So
okay.
That's all we have time for today. I want to thank you, Scott, for presenting, and PTC for sponsoring this, and for all of our attendees that dialed in today. Again, we'll be following up with a brief survey and look forward to hearing your feedback. Any questions that we did not get to, as I mentioned earlier on the call, we will follow up by email. So thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.